Argo is the chief executive of Taste Holdings. Now, this is a company that I remember tracking. In 2011, it was just a few cents. It was certainly well below R1 a share. Today, it's trading at R3.79. It's a 750 million rand market cap business, and results were out today for the 6 months to August. Carlo, I see your father has now finally said he's steered the ship sufficiently. He'll go and spend his money.
Yeah, look, I don't know about what he's going to go spend, but he certainly has. He's turning 70 next year, and it'll be his 15th year. So so he said that it's time for him to go and take a bit of a back seat. So that's it. I suppose for a lot of us, quite sad, given the input he's had. But yes, I'm sure that he's going to be busy in his own way.
Well, good for him. Scooters, which the two of you founded, according to that statement you issued in 2000. Lovely to be able to work with your father, no doubt. And you must be proud of what you guys are doing. Headline earnings per share up 27% in this 6-month period. But maybe from a broader perspective, as we've spoken over the years, the group Taste Holdings has just got progressively more re-rated. Have you been doing a lot of work with the investment community?
I'd say yes. When we bought NWJ back in 2008, as you'll have been aware following us, there were some questions around that. Similarly, some questions around our vertical integration as well. So I suppose to some degree there is the work of explaining our model and why we think it works to people. But then I suppose at the end of the day, there's also the fact that we have shown some reasonably consistent set of numbers over the years, with quite a few diversified parts of our business that are not susceptible to all the business cycles at the same time. So I think that's probably what's led to that.
There's been a bit of controversy around fish and chips. It's a great brand. It certainly is selling a lot of product, judging by whenever I walk past one of the outlets. Is the problem there behind you?
Look, we've always said that in our view there wasn't that big a problem, but we still are in legal debate with the sellers, and it's in the legal system, which takes time. But we've certainly got no cause for concern, or any more or less than we have had before.
Is that the brand that you're pushing hardest?
So fish and chips is still quite an astounding business for us. But in system-wide sales, Scooters comes pretty close to that. So Scooters is still a big part of our food business. So between the two of them are the two brands that I'd say at the moment are being driven the hardest in the food stable, at least.
Carlo, I don't know how much chicken you sell within the group, but I guess being in the fast food area, it must be at least some. What do you make of the changes on the imports, and what is it likely to do to the price that consumers pay for chicken products?
Yeah, so that's a good question, I suppose. Everyone's being asked. So chicken is important in our Scooters business, but it's, in percentage terms, it's less than 10% of what goes on a pizza is what chicken makes up. And then the chicken that we use is all value-added chicken. So we've seen some rumblings in the market around pricing, but we've been able to do quite a bit of forward buying to prevent any of those price increases going through to franchisees. So we have seen some increases on breast that have been in excess of 15%. So that's concerned us substantially, but we've managed to mitigate that for the meantime. But besides that, we don't really buy any other chicken products in any sort of considerable quantities. So
a competitor of yours like Nando's would have to presumably pick up that 15% or pass it on?
Well, let me just be clear on that. It's only on chicken breast that we got that increase. And I'm not really sure, what's on other chicken products, because we don't purchase them in any considerable quantities. But, like we have been able to buy forward and protect our franchisees' margins, I suspect that guys like Nando's, with their size, have been able to do the same thing with local suppliers. Remembering, of course, that most of the local guys buy locally the vast majority of their product.
On a more specific role, we have been talking with Hassan Adams over the past few months about his Burger King, and he says it's shooting the lights out. Yeah. Are you seeing any impact yet on your business?
No, look, where they're open are not typically where we've got sites. So no, we've certainly seen no impact. Although, I suppose wherever they're open, stores in the immediate vicinity, particularly within the same product category, I suspect will be impacted quite heavily initially.
So it's a good brand and a good product for this country?
I certainly think so. I certainly think so.
And looking ahead, you did have same-store sales of 12% growth in same-store sales of 12%. Is that a sustainable growth rate?
Look, that still continues to sort of astound us. at the moment. I think that, like all things, we're generally quite cautious and conservative in our forward-looking views. I do foresee that must taper off into the future, because we're starting to anniversary some very big periods of growth. So I think just doing that will be tough. But we're in the value segment, and consumers at the moment, that's where they're buying from.
Carlo Gonzaga is the Chief Executive of Taste Holdings.